Greetings, YouTube. At the time of this filming, which is May 4th, may the 4th be with you, um, filming of this video, 43% of Americans have a favorable opinion of the President of the United States of America. That's according to a poll. And I, and I started rolling that number around in my head, baffled by it. How anyone with more than two brain cells to rub together could have a favorable view for the President of the United States of America. But then I started thinking about polls themselves. Is this an artifact of how polls are taken? Polls are almost always taken over a phone. And I have answered innumerable polls over the years on my cell phone. And interestingly, in the beginning, they would almost always ask me if I was in a safe place, as like a not driving. But now they don't seem to ask that because more and more of us are cutting the cord completely. I mean, there's no landline in my building, phone line at all in this building. My wife and I don't have one. My mother-in-law doesn't have one. We're all on the same phone plan. That got me thinking, what if these polls are relying heavily on people who still have landlines, which means people who are older, people who are more likely to be conservative and be more likely to endorse the particular worldview of the president, even if they did not necessarily vote for them. Maybe they went third party, maybe they didn't vote at all. Maybe they've gotten into a war footing, and so they're like, we're going to support our president no matter what in the face of a pandemic kind of an attitude. Who knows? But if the polls are relying on landlines, that would explain some of my bafflement, because we know older Americans are conservative. I am an aberration in the fact that I'm 55 and I'm aggressively progressive. Most of my cohort are conservative. And I'm including all of the Democrats in that, because the Democratic Party is center-right. They are not centered. They are not in the middle. They are not left. They are center-right. And Bernie's was only slightly center-left. AOC is further to the left, but she still isn't left by any international definition. She is arguing for policies that anyone else in the sensible world sees as just everyday business. Yes, that's what a government's supposed to do, take care of its people. That is not left-wing in any way, shape, or form, and it isn't. It's just sensible. But in American politics, it means you're practically walking around with a hammer and sickle in hand. But if these polls are basing their data off of conservative white people, then shocker, you're going to get results that say 43% of Americans support the president. Whereas if you ask all of the minorities and all of the people, say, under 50, or even better, under 30, you're going to get a much different view, because they don't support the president. They also, unfortunately, don't seem to get off their ass and vote, which depresses me to no end. Because if the 18-plus crowd had voted in the primaries, Bernie Sanders would now be the nominee for the presidential run of 2020, and not Joe Biden. Yeah, yes, I know he's not officially been picked. He's going to get picked. So I get to choose between two senile, mumbling rapists, one of whom's only slightly less offensive than the other. And yes, I'll be voting for Biden, because he's less racist and less rapey than the current president. But he still supported racist policies, and he's still a rapist. So I'm not happy about it. He's just less. And for anyone out there that says, well, voting for the lesser of two evils is what got us here, what other option did we have? Voting third party just puts the conservative in office. Doing write-ins puts the conservative in office. Not voting puts the conservative in office. So the only option I've got, the only option any of us have, is to vote for the lesser of the two evils. Because that's the reality we're in. Would I like it different? Yes. Is it different? No. But back to the point of this video, I think the poll data is skewed towards conservative Americans, which is why the numbers are so high. Because there is no way, shape, or form, in my opinion, that 43% of the entire population supports the president. He is a white nationalist. He is a sexist and a misogynist and a homophobe and a transphobe. And he is a xenophobic bigot. Not to mention, incredibly stupid. I know that he's got a certain clever politicking involved in what he does and how he speaks. That he speaks in half sentences intentionally so that his base fills the blanks in. And the rest of us are baffled because we're not the white nationalist base that he's talking to. He is literally speaking a language they understand because they're filling in the gaps. Whereas the rest of us who are sane just hear gibberish. But he's a businessman that can't run a business. So he's not anything he said other than the fact that he, admitted that he's a sexual assaulter and a white nationalist. He is those things. At least he's honest in that regard. But the only way I can imagine that this whole thing is skewed the way it is because they're going after conservative Americans intentionally by skewing towards landlines, because there is no other explanation. Because if you went after the people who have cut the cord, you wouldn't get those results. Which is why I think they're going after the landline folks, because they want those results. Because it sounds good. Because it gets them clicks. Which is really damn depressing.